Are you gonna? What are you looking for the old man to start?
Well, I mean,
Youth, youth is first.
Oh, okay.
All right, okay, the geese.
All right, everybody. All right, I'm Bill Grant, and here's the stump. And I'm Mr. America, Mr. World.
You gave it. Hold that stump up. I want them to see. Cut the pieces.
You want them to see this stump, Leroy?
Yeah, that's
now,
right.
you know it took a long time to get this stump. You know, back in the day when I first started. You know, I mean, I started when I was a real kid. You know, but I really got some good motivation and inspiration from you. I mean, I picked up that Ebony magazine. For most people who don't know what Ebony magazine is Ebony magazine back in the day was a black magazine, and I never thought they would put a bodybuilder in there. But I opened up the pages one day, and who did I see? Leroy Colbert, a whole article about Leroy. He's sitting there, and I wanted big arms all the time. So Leroy was sitting there with somebody, Tom Sansone, pushing down on his knees, and Leroy's curling. I said, oh shit, those are the arms I need. I mean, it really gave me motivation. I mean, I kept training and training. Matter of fact, I took that magazine to everybody to show it to them. That's Leroy Colbert, man. Look at that shit. Look at that guy's arms,
You know,
man.
that was a mainstream magazine. That wasn't a bodybuilding magazine.
No, they knew you from all over the country.
Yeah, I know. Guys that told me that they was in the army that was stationed in Indonesia, they saw that.
Yeah.
You know, and I said, ooh, started feeling important.
You were internationally famous, man. I'm telling you, man. Leroy was great. I mean, he was a great inspiration. I mean, I was a skinny little kid. I mean, and looking at a guy like that, with arms like that, and you got to understand, back in the day, and I got to put this out there, this guy was drug-free. He didn't take anything. He didn't take any stuff.
You know why? Because it wasn't around to take.
Yeah, but and I'm telling you, look at the photos. Maybe later on we can pan to the photos of Leroy and show a photo of Leroy Colbert's body. This guy was fantastic, man. I mean, he can inspire Jesus, man. If you want to train, man. I mean, look at the little tiny waist, the flaring lats, the big bicep, the big stumps, man. You know, and it was great. I mean,
you see, I never was blessed to get that kind of definition. That's unbelievable. Because see, we work for size. You know, we were those guys. The bigger you get, the better. You know, in those days, we didn't look for the cuts like But when I first saw you, Jesus Christ, I looked. I said, Jesus. And you know what's funny? When you're coming up and you don't see bodies like you, because we didn't use any. We didn't know anything about
steroids.
Anything. We didn't know anything. All we knew was where these guys coming from. But but you knew that. Wherever they're coming from, they're bodybuilders.
And you're proper guys.
And you connect. When I first met you, it was like I knew you all along.
That's the whole deal.
It was like, hey, how you doing? How you doing, Bill? We never met each other.
Unbelievable. And you got to understand one thing.
It's unbelievable.
But the thing is when I won the Mr. World, Leroy, you were one of the judges. You was one of the judges. I mean, you had King on Voyages. No, there was a couple of, who else was there with the judges there?
Well, these old timers.
Right,
guys.
but I mean, the fact of the matter is.
But now, what do you think?
For me, I like to have judges that actually accomplish something in bodybuilding. I mean, these guys were all top bodybuilders. I mean, they trained hard, they competed. I mean, these were guys worthy of being judges. I mean, they really knew what to look for. And I'd never forget that night, man.
But what do you think, Bill, is the main difference in the old days and when you were coming? What did you find the difference? Of course, we had very rudimentary training. We didn't have the flat machines.
Right.
Solid dumbbells and barbells we were using.
Yeah, there wasn't much.
It's really ancient.
Yeah.
But what do you find the dramatic difference between the old timers and your crew? Because you're an old timer now.
Yeah, sure is. I mean, you had to bring that up.
And
right?
what's the funny thing? What's really funny is that when I was coming up, when you came up, I thought you were the young buck, and now you got the young bucks. Exactly. I never dreamed that you would be an old timer.
Yeah,
Watch out now. You catching up?
Yeah,
you catching
already
up?
caught up. I remember those with the antiquated equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I see, I trained at the Orange YMCA in Jersey, and I mean, it was dumpy like the gyms you guys went to. See, we didn't have the luxury of having air conditioning in a gym, all the pulley machines. These guys are spoiled today, man.
Yeah.
I mean, in the summertime when I trained at the Orange YMCA, it was down in the basement. There was one little slit window on one side and an exhaust fan on the other.
What year was that you started?
Now, I actually picked up my first weights in 1956. I was 9 years old. And my parents said, don't you think you're a little bit young to be training? And you started
And you know what's so, what?
You were already training in 1950.
No, I started in the 40s. I started 65 years ago. 66 years ago. So what was that?
I can't count that high.
That's when I started. See, and so the point is, when I was training, they didn't have to. People look at you like something was wrong with you.
Yeah, oh yeah. They say,
You know, like, you know,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, and the thing is, it was hard to go to the store and buy a magazine. Buy a bodybuilding mag, looking at guys in trunks with oil on their bodies. Whoa!
But you see, but now remember now, what makes it so funny. Now you've got up there a few years now, so I can relate to you more now than before.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Because you in the age where you begin to feel Father Time, even with the stumps.
That's right.
You know. You see, at that one time you were so much younger than me, and like let me see, I'm 16 years younger than you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when
I'm only 39 now.
Oh, I forgot. You see that? And you know what? As long as you think that, you'll be 39.
That's right.
And you know another
You're
thing?
only as old as you think you are.
And you know another thing, Bill? You know what's funny? How we don't age here.
No.
We're still fired up, you know?
That's it.
We got that. You know, I tell you one thing, I wish my body was with my brain. I'd be a hell of a
It's
man.
unbelievable, man.
You know what I mean?
It's like a log throwing it into the fire and it explodes, man, with the cinders, man.
It becomes
fire.
It becomes hot.
Excuse me. It was good those days. I mean, the training techniques. I mean, they keep trying to fix the wheel.
Say like the arm.
Beg pardon?
Say like the arms. What did you do for the arms? I want to see
Oh, the
if
arms.
you trained that. Say.
Well, for arms, I kind of like followed your arm routine, the one that was in the magazine. I mean, dumbbell curls. We did supersets, barbell curls. Remember, we didn't have all the fancy machines. We just had barbells and real dumbbells.
When did they come with the fancy machines? What year was that?
It's hard to remember. Jeez. It was probably at least 15 years after I started. In the 70s, it's late 60s and 70s started coming. They got the machines coming in and the techniques. But we had the supplements too back in the day. And
Yeah. But I tell you, when did this? You started training, what year?
I got serious in 1960. In 56, I picked up my first weights. But that was, what happened was I was looking at the magazine, the comic books. You had Charles Atlas in the back. And I used to get beat up all the time. You didn't realize, I never told you that story, right? I mean, I used to get beat up by the girls on the block. One girl used to chase me up a tree one time.
Well, you didn't have nobody, you didn't have any muscles then.
I was 4'9", 110 pounds. My sisters had to fight for me. And the big guy around the corner
What
had to
got
stick
you
up for me.
interested in lifting iron?
That was the reason. I was so skinny. My father was a professional fighter, and he was ranked number 3 in the world as a light heavyweight back in the 40s. And I mean, I couldn't protect myself. I mean, lifting weights was the only way I could go, and I wanted to look good. I looked at those pictures, man, it was like, wow. I saw Charles Atlas, and that was great. And Charles Atlas he was built, but he didn't look like none of the guys.
So now the basic thing now, because when I was training, we had to go like try things to see if it worked, because there was nobody around telling you anything.
Yeah, we
So
were
when
the
you
test
started,
models.
when you started, and you wanted to build your arms, what did you do? I mean, did you have any kind of a method, or you just went and, you had a method of training?
Well, basically just the method of all the guys in the magazine like yourself. I would do your whole arm routine all the way through. I used to train 6 hours a day, 3 days a week. 6
And
hours.
what was your diet then?
Spaghetti and meatballs, oatmeal and
But
peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But I had a very fast
But
metabolism.
did you ever notice though, when you train like that, you eat anything?
Oh yeah. But then again, when the shows back then, guys really know how to diet. They went on 0 carbs. And I remember guys almost passing out on the stage, and they used to hate me because I'd be eating spaghetti and
Because
peanut butter and
they
jelly.
didn't understand the
And
body.
I still was ripped.
But you see, Bill, they didn't understand the body.
You have to
You gotta have carbs.
You gotta.
Because that's what the body uses. The first requirement of the body is
Right.
energy.
You can't
which is
go
carbs.
no carbs at all.
No.
You gotta have some carbs.
Yeah.
But these guys, that was the thought. That was the thought process.
But I mean, that was where most guys were training at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you see any involvement before you got it? When did you more or less ease out of competition?
Well, let's see. My last show was 1997. That was the Masters Olympia. But I would say probably 1980 something, 89 around there. I was starting to phase myself out. But I mean,
But did you see any difference in the bodies and the method of training?
Oh, yeah. Yes, okay. Let's get to that. The training was a little different back then because I think we trained harder. We didn't
Because you could train harder.
We trained harder.
Because the juice.
Yeah. The guys today, also, I think, the bodies are different. We could really distinguish who was who in a bodybuilding show. I mean, like, at one point, when Arnold had the Olympia in Columbus, he had a screen, you know, where you could, a silhouette screen.
Mm-hmm.
And each guy would come out, and they would do their favorite pose, and the audience would have to guess who it was. Well, everybody guessed everybody because we all had a signature pose, but we all had a different type of physique.
Not today.
The guys, they're almost like cookie cutters. They all look alike.
You got to look good because of the juice.
Well, again, like I always say, it's not a knock on any of the guys of today.
I agree.
I just think if the bodybuilding is really going to survive, we've got to do something different. I think the average guy, when he looks at a bodybuilder today, and it's the
Rejects
truth,
it.
they look at it and he says, how many drugs do I have to take?
No, they
Like
reject
that.
it. They reject
That's what I'm saying.
it.
They don't want to look like that. And women sometimes are appalled. I mean, even back in the day when we had a little muscle, like, oh, look, what is that? So, I mean, if we really want to get back into the mainstream, I think we're going to have to kind of scale back, and we're going to have to
But
look.
you see, they're not going to do it.
No, I know.
And you know what? When I started, and I tell you, when I got hurt in the motorcycle, I thought I was devastated, psychologically, because I loved this stuff. This was part of my gut. I mean, it was me. And I said, I'm finished. What am I going to do? You know? I said, I want to compete. I couldn't compete anymore because my ankle was severed. I couldn't, couldn't train my legs or anything. And I tell you something, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today if I didn't get hurt. Because I was so consumed with training and building my body that if you'd have brought me boiling horse urine and said, Leroy, you'll get built with this, I said, give me another glass. That's all. That's
the same thing with me. No.
But don't you got to take the juice? And I don't knock the guys. You got to take it.
Well, yeah, if you're going to compete, I mean, and that's not only in bodybuilding, that's in every sport. If you want to be competitive today. And sometimes, I don't really blame it on the guys themselves. You got to sometimes blame it on the fickle fans, because the fans always want more. For instance, they're going away from bodybuilding.
But
they want you to hit more home runs.
They
want you to make more touchdowns.
They do it for themselves.
Well, yeah, they do it for themselves, but the fans demand more. The owners of the teams demand more. Oh, you want more money? You got to do more of this. I mean, you only can do so much with your natural potential. After that, and you want more. What do you want? What do you want me to do? I mean, this is what I got to do. But then, when they get caught doing it, now they're cheaters. But what do you want these guys to do? Because back in the Babe Ruth age, if they had it then, those guys would have been doing it too.
Of course. It's progress, but then we got to, what are we going to do? Make it illegal is the worst thing they can do.
I think so,
because
too.
you know why? Guys are killing themselves because they're not able to be monitored by the doctor.
Exactly.
You see, before they made it illegal, guys were killing themselves.
Exactly.
But now these guys taking much more than the body can handle,
Yeah.
and it's killing them.
Yeah.
And those 3% politicians are getting me angry. The women and mothers start complaining, it's illegal, and they walk away.
Right.
And they make more problems making it illegal than if they just, what you call, control it. And you know what? I was talking before, and I said that what you got to do is say, you can take it, but you got to admit it.
Right.
And that will control it better than anything else. In other words, everybody, you want to take it, but you have to, if you don't admit it, that's when you're punished.
Right.
If a guy get on stage and he looks all huge, and they say, you take it, juice no, and they test him, barred for life.
Yeah, because
See,
they lied about it.
then the guys would be scared, wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Then they would modify it. Think about it.
Yeah, they would.
Think about it. They'd do more modifications than make it illegal.
Yeah, they would.
Because you say, if I get big and they find out, what good is it?
Yeah.
That's what they should do if they want to control it, instead of making it illegal like they do it, and guys are killing themselves.
Yeah, we really need to do something, but I think the whole process of this bodybuilding thing from the days when we started, I mean, we kind of love the sport. See, that's the one point I think people need to understand. We actually love the sport. It wasn't for the love of the money, because there wasn't a damn dime. You did it because you loved it. You did everything because you loved it. I mean, it had.
But you was money, but
there was no motivation because there was no money.
You made money.
You made a little bit, but I made most of the money from doing television shows and commercials. But we didn't know. I gotta back up a little. We did exhibitions.
But you made it for the body, from the body.
Yeah.
You know what we got from the body? You know what Joe used to set up to Canada to take pictures? We get a sandwich and a fare to Canada. On the train.
Wow.
We were happy as you could be because we were going to be in the magazine.
Right. Well, that was
how Joe said, I'll publicize you.
I'll put you on the cover of the magazine and
when he said,
I'll
publicize, everybody would be so, especially guys, built a few muscles. Boy, we're going to be in the magazine. That was it. Now today, man, these guys think they're rock stars.
Yeah.
They sign all kinds of contracts.
Now they are getting contracts, and I would have to say there's a handful of guys that are really making any money still in the sport.
Oh, that's
like Jay Cutler. He made, I think, a couple of $1 million this year. He's got $1 million contract with BSN. He's got an $800,000 contract, I think, with Muscular Development. He's booked almost every weekend for exhibitions at like $2,500, $3,000 a pop. He owns a lot of real estate in Las Vegas. He owns a couple of Max Muscles. So
I know there's no more amateur shows now. All is professional.
Oh no! You have to win the amateur nationals before you can become a professional. Either turn pro by winning the Mr. North America or the nationals. Then you become a pro.
Well, what do you recommend for people to have the longevity and the kind of spunk you got at the ripe old age? You could tell them.
What do we recommend?
What do you recommend to maintain your vim and vigor at the ripe old age of
64?
Okay.
Well, I just think you got to continue to work out. You see, the old adage is I'm too old, but that's you can't be further away from the truth. As you get older, the necessity for exercise gets greater. The body is now aging; it's breaking down. If you're going to keep it right and keep it strong and keep your mentality, now you really have to exercise. So I don't know where people get this mentality like, I'm too old to exercise now. No, you better get in the gym.
Your
and exercise
body's a machine,
now. Right?
And you don't use it, and it rusts.
It's like a car.
The only difference between your body and a machine is your body will adjust and the machine won't.
That's right. The machine
and it'll
just
adjust to decay.
It'll adjust as far as it can until there's no more adjustment to be made, and then it.
But you gotta tweak it though.
You gotta tweak it constantly.
See, that's you gotta make sure that you do coax the body instead of wear out the body. Because you see a lot of guys in their 60s, they look worn out because they're overtrained.
And overtraining is a problem, especially as you get older. People have to understand as you do get older, you have to modify your training. Your body doesn't recover no matter what you do. I mean, we're in great shape, but no matter what we do, our bodies still aren't going to recover as fast as they did back in the day. But we're going to recover a lot faster than the ones our age who don't do anything.
Because you're building reserve.
Exactly.
The body will give you what you want, if you give you what it needs.
But see, we were lucky. See, we started at an early age in our teens. We've been like this for years. So our body never had a chance to get out of kilter.
Imagine an arm like that at 64.
Yeah, man, come on.
Are you kidding me? You know one thing? You couldn't pay me to take my shirt off. And you know the funny thing though, when I was training, 18-inch arm was considered it. The experts said couldn't get bigger.
Yeah, and you were the first man. And that's the one thing people should know. You were the first man with the 20-inch arms.
21 inches. And it was done with a steel tape.
Yeah, and that's a true tape.
And I used to always, Joe called me the monster. And when he have his office, and he had a meeting in his office, and I'd be in the back there in the shipping department. I was only 17, 18, I think about 19. Joe said, "Monster, what the monster? Get the monster, let him come back here." And so when I come, he said, "Take off your shirt, monster."
Yeah, he had a nickname.
Yeah. And then he say, "Look at that, you ever see anything like, look at that?" And then those business guys look at, Jesus Christ, look at that, make a pose, monster. And I would be enjoying the hell out of it. Yeah. He's okay, go ahead. and he would do this at least
three times,
but at least 3 times a month when he had meetings. And I'm there.
Well, that was him using you to get everybody else.
Well, because he loved this.
Yeah.
He loved the sport.
Yeah, he did.
He loves this sport. He put his, I get so angry when these guys knocked
his whole life into him.
He glamorized it.
He did.
He took it out of the dumps.
Well, this is what I try and tell people. I said, don't knock Joe. I said, without Joe, none of us would be where we're at. Not even Arnold.
He brought Arnold over here. He introduced Arnold. Of course, Arnold had to drive to take it from there. Exactly. But if he didn't introduce Arnold, would he be? Nobody.
Well, guess what? You can have the best thing in the world, but you gotta have the vehicle to get it there. We were the vehicle, but we needed a highway to drive on. Joe was the highway to drive on. We had the car. Joe put us on the highway and let us go, and he made us famous. That's the way it really worked. And I tell these guys, it's, you know, it wasn't about all the money back then, but he did give you something that you could have. You had those titles, you had the publicity, you had the name, so you had to know how to market
and
yourself.
And you had number one, you took care of yourself.
Exactly.
And you know, you should be proud of that.
Oh, I'm
you
proud
can't be,
of all
but
this.
I mean, really, because you see guys. How many men your age got stuff like that?
Not many.
No, that's you. Probably what I know is you.
And our whole idea at this point in time is to help and motivate people. We have to really motivate people to get going, especially our youth of today. They're lazy.
Because you know you built the vitality too.
Exactly.
Really.
But see, we didn't have all the things to do back in the day that they have now with the computer games. We hardly had TV. Some didn't even have TV. So our recreation was, let's go down in the basement and lift weights.
It's too many things to sit on your
Well,
ass.
they're
too many ass sitters.
They're too distracted with
Too
other
many
things.
ass sitters.
Yeah, and they're not exercising.
Facebook, they're on Facebook half the day. Twitter
They
and
need to exercise.
iPods and
Now,
all
you
that.
see, back in the day, we were at the gym working out, and I can remember working out in the gym, and like guys would look at me and say, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" I was literally the skinniest guy in the gym, and I can remember the guy that helped me, Randy Coyle. I'd come in the gym because my legs were so bad. I'd have sweatpants on. It could be 100 degrees. I still had sweatpants on. So he was one of the younger guys in the gym, and he was kind of a little ahead of his time. He was like the Arthur Jones back then. Matter of fact, he actually did things before Arthur Jones even came out with it. This was in the early
That
60s.
naughty stuff. That
Yeah,
died.
before Arthur Jones came out with it, the principles. This guy had the principles, so he took me under his wing. And I remember one of the things he told me, and it was really funny. I had the sweatpants on. He says, "Bill," he says, you're training too much. Like I told you, I was training 6 hours a day. And it was just way over training. Not a day. It was like Monday, Tuesday,
What was
Thursday,
your
Saturday.
diet then?
Like I said, I ate everything.
You had to?
Anything I could eat, I'd eat.
And to burn it right up.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, hot dogs, soda.
Burn it up.
Candy. Really, I ate all
You
that
can do
stuff.
that. You can. The only way that food, they look at it with horror. It's detrimental to
Right.
sit down and look at TV.
Right.
But if you train it, the same with
I
Phelps,
burned it
a
off.
swimmer,
Right.
12,000 calories a day.
Well, people, I try to be honest with this. Come on, nobody tells the truth like that. You know, that you eat, that's the way I ate. But we didn't really, back in the day, we didn't know a lot about nutrition. We didn't know what we really needed.
How many the most sets you did for a body part?
Probably about 50.
For body part?
Yeah, but I did every exercise in the book. I can remember going to the YMCA, doing almost every exercise in the book. Remember, what's this guy's name? He had another guy that had big arms and trained out here in the West Coast. But I did you guys, exercise program, but I did every exercise in the book. I must have done the 10 exercises for the biceps, 10 for the tricep.
And I did just the opposite.
You did less. And
I did 2 or 3 exercises for the arm.
But that's why you were so big.
And we do set after set after set. We used to stand and we would call it burnout.
Right.
We would stand. We'd take a 110-pound barbell, stand in front of each. We standing like this. We would do this every day, and we would curl until we couldn't move. I do 10, give it to him. He do 10, back and forth like that.
Robbie Robinson he took your idea then. Because Robbie used to do that also in the gym. He'd curl with somebody into the bar, then he'd finish and get it right back.
And your arms feel like they're going to burst.
Exactly. Your whole body got to train.
I know.
When guys finish an exercise, you got to jump right in. But that's why you got real big. You did volume, but you didn't do a million different exercises.
No.
How many hours did you train when you guys
About
worked
4.
out?
But only every other day. They were really restricting you in our day. They were terrified of overtraining. Don't do over 3 sets. That was like an unwritten law.
Yeah, it was. That's right.
Don't do over. Oh, you remember those days?
Mhm.
And shucks, man, I started doing more sets and brought out in.
And your arms got
Did you
bigger
eat
and bigger.
steak? Did you eat a lot of steak?
Yeah.
You used to eat 2 pounds a day.
As much meat as I could eat, as much meat as my parents could afford.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, our parents didn't have a lot of money, but I found it somewhere. I washed cars. I went to a car wash place and washed cars for $1.10 and 10 cents an hour. That's why I could buy
You
all
got a lot of money
vitamins.
those days.
Yeah. Listen, I was so motivated, I did whatever I had to do to get the money, to get to the gym and buy my vitamins. My parents weren't in a position to keep buying vitamins constantly for me, extra stuff, extra food. Father said, hey, you want it, you better go out and get yourself a job, boy. So I went and did what he said. On the days I didn't train, on the weekends, I washed cars.
I remember my mother's friends, male friends would say, what is this boy wasting his time? What's the matter? Is he crazy?
Exactly. He's got the same
And
thing
I would run out of the house to train. It was almost like somebody shot me with a gun to get to the gym. You know, because sometimes the guy would close the gym early. And I gotta get, once you're in there, you won't lock out.
Right,
you know?
right.
And I'd be racing like hell, like somebody behind it. And my mother's boyfriend would say, that kid of yours, he's not right in the head.
They all thought we weren't right now.
Yeah, because
they wasted
he
their time
couldn't
at that gym.
comprehend how you could be in the lift. He said, what's the point?
4 hours a day. What are you doing in the gym for 4 hours a day?
What's your point? It's amazing to mine, huh? Absolutely amazing.
Today, I think most people know what the point was. We got where we needed to get. I mean, we were all motivated. And I think every bodybuilder that you've seen to become a champion, they were very motivated. I mean, in the beginning, so when I started, I mean, I had no real aspirations to actually compete in a show. I just got bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden, I got goaded into doing the show, and my guy, Randy, who helped me out, you know, made me do, I dropped my workouts down from 6 hours a day to about an hour and a half, an hour. I just did 4 different exercises.
6 hours a day.
That's why I trained. I get there.
How old were you then?
I was in high school. I was in high school. I go straight.
When you got in your late 20s, you could do that.
I'd go home, wait for a couple of guys from West Orange to pick me up. We'd drive to the Orange Y. We get there about, I got out of high school about 2:30. I get to the Y about 3:30, quarter to 4. They were closing. They were closing up on me, and I still wasn't done. I used to hide when the guy would come in and say it's time to close. There was a speed bag at the other end of the gym. They turned the lights off. I go hide behind the speed bag, and there was a little light there. So when he left the room again, I turn on the light and keep training, have the bar over there and keep curling. And they finally caught me. They suspended me from the Y for a week because I didn't conform to the rules. I didn't
Isn't
get
it
out.
amazing? And do you
6
know?
hours.
Do you really know what makes you? What drive? You know, I couldn't explain to you what drove me.
It's hard for me to explain what drove me.
It's just something, you know. It's just something that in you. You know, it's just fulfilling. You know, and I'll tell you something. You couldn't find nothing better. Because as we age, we realize. My friends would tell me, "You and those goddamn pills and all that kind of stuff."
That's right.
Now what do you think I should take?
All the same people that used to laugh at me when I'm training are the same people now that want advice, or most of them are gone.
Walking around.
A lot of them are gone.
You know what the thing
didn't conform.
Vitality.
Yeah.
So you're building vitality. I mean, that's the thing, and that's what your body eventually, when you get sick or something, your vital force is what keeps you, what carries you through. If you don't have it, you're gonna frail and feeble. You know, a lot of guys get our age, you get frail.
Right.
Because they never built up anything.
Right.
You got to build a reserve.
Yeah, you do.
You know that.
And
Go ahead.
no, from all that training, I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, how everybody met. I mean, I thought we personally knew each other when I saw you in the magazine. When I saw you in Ebony magazine, it's like, wow.
I remember that.
And I remember meeting you, in New York at the shows. I mean, I idolized you guys. I mean, like, wow, Leroy Colbert, the guy with 21-inch arms. Jesus Christ, this guy's huge. But then when I met you, it's like I almost knew you forever.
Yeah.
And it was like,
Isn't that
wow,
amazing?
I'm meeting Leroy
You know,
Colbert.
it's amazing.
Came on voyages.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you meet guys, that's what I love about this. It's a special, just like when I met Arnold for the first time when he came. He was only about 22, I think, something like that, when he came to New Jersey to meet me. Because Joe Weider said Arnold's in New York with Artie, and he wants to meet you. He was nobody then. I said, oh, no, that guy don't really bother him. I never dreamed he'd be what he is.
Yeah.
And he was then bragging. I said, this brash bastard, I'm going to be a star. I said, you can't even talk. And the funny thing about it, I had that on some of that stuff on tape. I didn't say you couldn't, that wasn't on tape, but he was telling me he wasn't taking any vitamins, but taking. I said, Arnold, stop.
It's me you're talking to. It's me you're talking to.
Yeah, but the point is, I never dreamed when he said, I'm going to be a star. I thought he was insane.
Yeah.
I said, this man is nuts.
The motivation that he had was incredible. It's unbelievable how some people are really very driven. Yeah, he had a lot of self-confidence.
Yeah.
He would, no matter what you said about him, he still knew he was.
You couldn't
smart.
embarrass him.
No, you couldn't.
No.
You couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I admire that more of him than anything. That self-confidence, assurance. You know that. I mean,
Yes.
you know him much better than me,
yeah.
because you hung out with him. I never hung out with him.
Well,
I'd meet him in different venues and we'd talk. But we and every time we meet, we argue.
He was very confident.
He likes to take charge. You know that.
Oh yeah, he always. In the gym, I remember training in the gym. He was always the head guy. I mean, we'd be training our butts off. It's great, and all of a sudden he'd stop, and we'd all have a little break and a laugh, and he says, "Well, okay, guys, it's time to get back to work again," and we start training again.
Well, he gonna take charge. But I mean,
Yeah.
I told all my friends about him when we were judging this contest, and he was nobody then. I mean, once you get to be somebody, they give you a little slack.
Right,
He was nobody, So Arnold gets up. All of us guys older than him start picking up the scorecards. And I said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm taking them in the back." And Adam, I said, "No, you're not." I said, "Who the hell do you think you are?"
He was a competitor, and he was going to.
No, he wasn't a competitor. He was judging.
Oh,
too.
he was judging too.
Yeah.
Oh, but he was.
But he takes charge, and he was. I don't know how old he was, but he was young. Never done.
20-something.
He and all of you know one thing, Bill. Not one of those geezers got up and said anything. I said, "You ain't got to." And you know what?
They won't let him
Arnold
take it.
respects that.
Oh yeah.
When Arnold see me, he smiles. He said, "You trust me?" I said, "No." And the point is, we used to argue so much that when guys would catch us arguing, they snap pictures. With a lot of
Oh,
whatever, because we used to. But you know what I like about him? You can't put him down. You ever notice that?
Oh no, never.
No, you
No matter what you say to me.
Because see, you know him more intimately than I do. You hung out and trained with him. I only met him at venues or kind of when he came to my house. I met him in intervals, but you know him more more intimately, and you know how he is.
Oh,
But you know what? Arnold is the person that shaft you and make you laugh. He kiss you when he shaft you. When he know you mean shaft.
That's right.
You know that?
Arnold was good at that.
He knows how to kiss you when he shaft you.
Right.
He's
Oh,
the
yeah.
best. I mean,
Yeah, he was great. See, he had a lot of sides to him, but he did have a real good side. And
But he's all from himself.
it's a pleasure to actually know him and to be around him and to see how he operates. But there's that real good-hearted side, because I can tell a story about Arnold, and I've told that story before. I used to work for United Airlines when I first came out here, and I remember I had my kids at the gym with me one day, and I had a meeting that day, and I totally forgot. And I lived in Hollywood at the time, so I had to go to the meeting, and I looked around, and I'm thinking, I was going to watch my kids while I go. I can't take them with me. And I'm looking around, and I'm looking around, and I'm looking at Arnold, and I'm thinking, oh, jeez, I got to ask him. God, if anything happens to these kids, my wife's going to kill me. So I asked Arnold, I said, Arnold, listen, I got a meeting at the airport today. I said, and I got my kids, as you can see. I said, but I can't take them. You think maybe you could watch my kids for a couple hours? It was killing me to ask him that. I says, am I doing the wrong thing? I mean, Arnold's going to watch my kids? Oh, jeez. But at any rate, make a long story short, he watched the kids. I come back from the meeting. My kids run over to me, oh, Daddy, 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 it was great. Arnold was great, great. He took us to McDonald's, had hamburgers, ice cream, walked down on the boardwalk. He took us to the rings and we played, and we had a great time. Wow. And, a lot of people always used to say, because Arnold talked about the kids and, the Special Olympics, and they thought he just kind of used all of this just to make himself look good. But Arnold genuinely liked kids. He loved my 3 kids.
And he likes to be center stage too.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, what I think I like about him mainly is that he will do what he has to do to promote Arnold.
That's right.
And Arnold, if he sees going the wrong direction, he have no
Turn
problem turning around. You have to turn on a dime. It's in his vested interest.
That's right.
Oh
Exactly.
man, and I admire that. A lot of guys down on him because I admire it. I'll tell you the truth. I wish I had that. I don't have that.
Yeah, so do I.
I don't
Arnold
have
just
that.
had that thing is you can take it or leave it or get lost.
See you give her and you're right. I couldn't do some of the all for myself decisions that he makes. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. But hey, the way he is. You know, and he's not what you call a mean guy or anything like that. He's just out for Arnold. Yeah. Arnold first, and then if you got something left, forget you.
You know, sometimes you got to do that way if you're actually going to get there. And I can imagine him in the beginning competing in all the shows when he was in his teens in Germany. It's strange how we really paralleled each other and how the camaraderie came through, because we should tell people about our camaraderie as well. But, I mean, back in the day, I think we had a lot more camaraderie than the guys today. I mean, you remember that. You went to the gym, you guys were friends, you went out, you hung out together, you ate together.
They hate each other.
Today they hurt each other. I mean, not beat each other up, but I mean, it's like they stick it to each other. They don't talk to each other that much. They don't hang out like we used to do. We had a lot of camaraderie, and I think that was the main reason why the sport also went where it went as well. We were great guys. We were free-spirited bodybuilders. I mean, we love the game. And you know, I tell guys, I hate this one, I hate that one, you know. Don't hate the game, hate the player. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think is the future? You think bodybuilding can, according to Sean, they're not getting they're not getting a fan base. They said they want to change and start testing these guys. He said, but then they'll lose a hardcore, then they'll have nothing. Because they don't know if they can bring back the moderate. The people that want to see nice, see, in our day, you know what? In our day, you could put your hand over the faces of every bodybuilder and identify them just by their body.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
We were talking about the
Can't do that today.
And then, I remember when I won the Mr. World, when you were judging, it was Madison Square Garden, the Felt Forum, sold out. Remember that?
Yeah.
It only could seat 5,000 people, and it had 5,000 people. That's the Mr. World contest that year.
Only got the hardcore.
Oh yeah.
And they're dwindling.
Yeah.
Because guys they want to be late. Say, man, I like that. They're looking at you this way instead of looking at you this way.
People can't relate to what's going on today with the sport. I mean, they look at it and it's like, what's going on here? It's like, and a lot of parents now don't even want their kids to do it.
Because and because of the drugs. But men's sports, they claim, men's health, I think, outsell all the muscle magazines put together.
Wow.
Men's health, all of them.
Yeah.
Because you see those guys with bodies people can relate to.
Well, we should really try and appeal. A lot of times, I don't want to appeal to the baby boomer, but that's the biggest crowd. Well, and those are the ones that really need to get in shape and would love to be in shape, but when they look at that, they're figuring, it's too late for me. I can't look like that, and I don't want to.
But a lot of guys don't want to look like that.
That's what I'm saying. I can't, but I don't want to look like that. I mean, it's sad when I look at that.
See, your best you would look. I mean, you will still.
Well, there's a photo of me up there over here when I won the Mr. World.
Yeah, you look. You look like somebody that you can aspire to.
Right. What's I'm saying? If you trained hard enough and you ate right, you could maybe get there. Right. Look at a guy like Frank Zane. And it's like, wow, if I trained hard enough, I could maybe look like that. But again, like I said, we talked like before, most of the people look at it. I didn't see Frank in the last 2 years. I don't know what's going on with him, but he was a great Mr. Olympia. And you had guys like Dave Draper. Dave Draper was from Jersey as well, Sea Caucus. And he was a great bodybuilder.
And a great personality.
Yeah, and he had his own TV show. I mean, I think bodybuilding back in the day was great because after Pumping Iron, I think Pumping Iron actually changed the face of bodybuilding. It really did. That's when people really got excited about it. That's when that's why
mainstream then.
Our group, that's why we got so much television work. That's why if you go to YouTube, you can see me on the Share Show. I mean, I did 2 Toyota commercials. I was on all the television shows, What's Happening Now. I was on the Merv Griffin Show. I was on the A-Team. They did a Friday night movie of the movie. Friday night movie.
The movie called,
oh yeah, it was great.
And it all comes from
Muscle Beach.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and being in bodybuilding being so popular back then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. Then we did another movie called Grunt, the wrestling movie. It was a spoof on wrestling, but it all became because of us being bodybuilders, and we're more or less mainstream.
But you don't see that now. You're not using
you don't see any commercials, hardly nothing.
No, because it's not pleasing. You guys are pleasing. Even see the share show, whatever you guys got better than that. But they can't have those monsters on these shows today.
No.
People recoil.
I think when they looked at us on the Share Show, we were probably huge.
Yeah, but you still was presentable.
Right. Exactly.
You still look somebody. But You notice you don't see the bodybuilders in anything, like all those shows you went?
Yeah.
You don't see them.
It's pretty tough today.
Yeah.
I mean, our training, practices back in the day were a lot different. We didn't have the same kind of equipment. I mean, we talked about it before. I mean, like working out in the Y. I mean, again, going back there, wooden planks on the floor at the YMC. You could see mice and roaches on the bottom. We had plumber's pipe for squat racks and dipping bars. I mean, the pull down machine consisted of a pulley at the top with a rope coming down, and the bar would swing back and forth, so you have to be careful it doesn't hit you in the face when you're doing it, and somebody had to hold your shoulders down. I mean, we didn't have those technological machines, but again, let's go back and look what everybody looked like back then, especially you, because you were way before my time, and they look at you and they say, wow, that looks like a modern
Well, I can't
body.
convince some people not to take the drugs, they're so drug psyched up and orientated, they think you got a pimple on your arm, you took drugs.
Well, you look great. I'm looking at these photos up here.
And I'll tell you something.
Incredible.
I'm not going to knock it. I tell them all the time, I would have taken it. It was just when I got hurt. Wasn't available. And when I got hurt, it started coming. I'll never forget the first time I became aware of it, when I heard about this fellow, Freddie Ortiz. He's about 4 feet tall, with his arms bigger than his head.
Yeah, Freddie.
And I said to him, I said, this guy's doing something.
I think you had a chance to judge him in the show.
Yeah.
At the Brooklyn Academy of Music.
I said, this guy's doing something of the training.
And those were the days.
Yeah.
Right? The Brooklyn Academy of Music days. I mean, for everybody out there who never had an opportunity to see what was going on in those days, they were fantastic. Because I remember the first time I went to the Brooklyn Academy of Music when Larry Scott won the first Mr. Olympia. I mean, you had old, young, kids, bodybuilders, people who weren't bodybuilders. It was absolutely fantastic. And by the way, Larry Scott, who won that Mr. Olympia, trained just down the street from this location we're at now, at Vince's gym. That was the famous gym back then, even before Joe Goals. And I mean, the crowd just went bananas. The place, when he came out on stage, I gotta tell you,
Hey, he couldn't carry the water today.
It just lit up. The light bulbs, the flashes went just absolutely bananas. But seeing a guy like Larry Scott.
But he couldn't carry the water today?
No.
No. He couldn't carry, he wouldn't even be.
He couldn't even win the Mr. California.
That's right. And I mean, when I saw him, I looked, because he was round.
Remember how round? You one of the judges.
Yeah, you know how round he was?
Yeah.
And I mean, he walked out there, and I said, wow. And today they've come so far that he couldn't even qualify.
No, he couldn't. None of those guys could. The only one who could, and this is really great, Sergio Oliva. He was way ahead of his time back in the day. Harold Poole.
Sure, but he came after.
Right. But Harold Poole was the next. But Harold was the next guy.
There's Harold there.
Now, you know what though? I love Larry Scott, but Harold Poole was really the guy. He was really cut up, thick and big, and remember he won was the Mr. America? No, he didn't win the Mr. America, the Universe. He competed.
He went with Joe,
Right, he
went with us.
Right, he was working with Joe.
Dave and myself.
He won his big first title when he was working with Joe.
Yeah.
Because as we know, back in the day, the AAU would not have allowed him to win that show.
Yeah.
So, and that was a travesty. This is the thing that bothered me about bodybuilding, and see, that separated Joe and Bob Hoffman, the mentality. Joe Weider was a bodybuilder. Bob Hoffman was not a bodybuilder. He was a weightlifter, and he really didn't want minorities winning the contest. But Joe Weider had a whole different look, and most people have to understand this. And I want to let people know, back in the day when Leroy was working for Joe Weider and he had the magazines, he wanted to put Leroy on the cover. And Leroy actually told him, and he told me, like, well, you can tell him the story, Leroy.
Well, no. I mean, the story, the reason to fascinate me about the story is simply because, you know me, I like to get into the head. It's me. I like that. And I thought he was treating me well, and I wasn't into. I don't get put him on the cover. So he said, "I'm going to put you on the cover." And so, and all his accounts said, "Oh, you're going to lose money. They're not going to sell it in the South." And Joe said, "We're going to put him on the cover. He deserved it." So Joe said, "Leroy, I'm going to put you on the cover." I said, "Joe, please." I said, please. I'm not here. I didn't give a shit. I really didn't. I didn't give a shit. So he said, and I thought he was just bullshitting me. He was going to do it, then when it come time to do it, something came up, Right. And then when he said, come down and to the beach and we'll take this, we'll I want you to come down to the beach and meet me in 2 hours, come down to the beach and we'll take these pictures of you on the beach. And I said, what is he? I said, how far is he going to carry this? I still thought, and then he showed me the proofs. He says, here's the proofs of the cover. And I said, he's going to do something. He's really going to print those magazines. I said, Joe, I don't want you to lose money. I said, I don't want you to do that for me. He said, I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for bodybuilding. And I said, boy, oh boy, it touched me. It really touched me. And the funny thing about it, you would see why we used to argue. We would argue like we were married. I made it. I'm 17, 18 years old, 19 years old, and Joe would say now, so. I said, wait a minute, Joe, that isn't what you the fact. Joe said, oh God, he used it because most people sit there with Joe, because Joe liked to lecture.
Right, oh yeah.
And you know that.
Oh yeah.
And everybody's sitting there listening, and I said, and Joe said, oh God. There he goes, he's arguing.
He's fighting me.
And you know something, Bill? I didn't realize until later, I had a lot of damn nerve. That man will find me. I mean, what you talk the boss? No, you ain't right,
He respected you for that.
But the point isn't, I didn't realize I was doing.
You told your point of
Yeah,
view.
and he used to do this. Sometimes he walk around the office, oh God, there he goes. I made it. With his head up to his head, oh God, there he goes. And it was so funny, Bill, because when I look back, I said, you have a lot of damn nerve. But this is like all the other guys, because Joe loves to tell you what you should do. Like I would say, Joe said, now let me tell you. I said, now Joe, there you go. You won't tell me now that, I said, how do you know I want to listen to what you got? I don't know exactly what I said.
Right.
But Joe, because everybody wouldn't say, nobody say nothing.
Yeah,
they wouldn't challenge him, And then you know what I used to do? Like, guys would be doing something, I said, well, Dave, I said, you shouldn't do this. Or I said, Bob, you shouldn't do this. And Joe said, Leroy, come here. Let people stay in their worlds. They're happy there. Leave them alone. You're around here telling everybody what they should do. Leave people alone and let them stay in their world. They're happy. and the point made me laugh. Here I am getting paid. I think at that time, getting about 150 a week. That's big money then.
$150 a week.
And Joe said, stick with me. I'll never forget this. Joe said, stick with me, and you make $2.25 a week.
$75 a week.
No, wow. I was excited. This is going to hit the jackpot.
$2.25 a week.
$2.25 a week. That was Joe's famous $2.25 a week.
That was his buzzword. He knew exactly how to get to it. $2.25.
And I was so happy. Joe
that
said,
was the magic
and
number.
He would say, stick with me. Stick with me, you'll get $2.25 a week. I'll never forget that.
Those days were
I love it.
Those are the days of bodybuilding and the camaraderie. I mean, you hung out with you worked with all the guys. You, Draper, Harold. I mean, we all were together. We were like.
And Harold used to rule the place. Harold walk around like this. Everybody scared of Harold.
Didn't you have to put Harold in his place?
Oh yeah. So hey, let me tell you what happened.
I heard about that.
Harold said, Harold was sitting up on the ramp, and I was down there. I didn't want to, you're not going to challenge Harold. But Harold said, Leroy, move that box before I come down there and smack the shit out of you. See, now I was the next man to dominate. Everybody else scared to death of him, So I said, come on. And he ran down, I just put my hand on, he ran right to my,
somebody
boom,
said somebody said you knocked Harold out.
No, I didn't knock him out.
I said, no, but I heard the story. You know what, the time in the warehouse, I heard this story over and I said, oh, okay. He said, man, Harold went after Leroy and Leroy wasn't going to have none of that.
To be honest with you, I wasn't up to fight him. Because Harold, Harold had everybody intimidated.
Except for you.
And that's what he didn't like. He said, I got to get Leroy now, I can tell. So he had to find a way. He said, Leroy, I said, what, move that box before I come down there and smack the shit out of you.
Wow. Smack the shit out of 21-inch arms. Wow.
And I said, here it goes. So I didn't know what I was going to do. I said, well, come on down. So he come running down there, and I just, he ran right into him. Boom. His nose all splattered all over, bloodshot.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, here's what Harold was from then on. Hey, Leroy, what do you think about this?
You can't teach a young buck some respect.
He was tamed at.
Sometimes there's things you just got to do to make people have a little respect.
Well, them guys, I mean, he ain't
out of the frame.
He had guys cowering.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they were cowering over him because.
Harold was tough.
And you know, because he had a speech impediment too.
Right, right.
You know?
So,
that
that made him more tough because he hadn't figured he had to be tough because of that impediment he had. But I think inside Harold was a nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Because I got my time to know Harold. Like we talked about, you know, the camaraderie, and the fact of the matter is that when you saw a guy in a magazine, you thought you knew him all your life. And once you met him, it's like, I know him all my life. Harold and I became good friends. He used to work at the Cheetah in New York. He was a body. He was a bouncer. Yeah, that's where his brother got killed at. And I used to come over and try and impress the girls from Jersey. Come on to New York. I got a club. I can go to the Cheetah.
Well, you a womanizer like Arnold. I think you beat Arnold out. I think you built big Arnold out there. Because you know you grip, you know.
Maybe that's why me and Arnold sometimes had a little friction.
Yeah, because you grip, you know. You didn't know which one.
We used to have a little friction back and forth.
This man is king of the bodybuilders, and he knows how to talk.
Yeah, we loved those girls here in Southern California back in the day, baby.
Wait a minute, good God.
We're
looking at the time?
Yeah, we got one more little thing to do.
What else we talking? Jesus. What?
Where were we at?
I got to get the hell out of here.
Look at him, he wants to leave already. We're in the middle of an interview, and he wants to leave.
In the middle of it,
All right, hey, so if you want to wrap it up, then go ahead. Any last minute advice for future bodybuilders about anything? What was the last thing you'd have to, if it's your dying breath, what's the last thing you want to get out there, let the world know?
All right, well, let's put it this way. If you want to be a bodybuilder, don't let anybody discourage you. I'm serious, because I was discouraged a lot. But I read this book one time real quick by Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. I think Arnold read that book too. Listen, you can't let anybody stop you or stand in your way no matter what. So if you have that dream, you've got to go for it. But hey, train smart, be wise. This is a dangerous world with all the things that are going on. You've got to be careful. You have to think, there's life after bodybuilding. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when in any sport, there's life after that sport. You've got to ensure yourself that when that sport is done, you're still going to be intact. And I feel very honored now that I'm still intact, and to be able to be 64 and still show your arm that looks like that. And I feel really proud of that. And when a guy like Leroy keeps telling me when I come out here to see him how great I'm looking at this age, it really makes me think that I did the right thing. I did everything that everybody else did back in the day, and I don't want everybody to think I was a goody-good boy. I took steroids like everybody else, but back then it was legal. So people have to understand that. There was no laws against it. But that was the whole deal. It was a competitive thing. Today now, it's all about longevity. You gotta think about the future. And I know when you're young, you feel like you're immortal. But hey, as you get my age and Leroy's age, you find out about your mortality.
Especially my age.
You really think about your mortality. So just train smart, be smart, and think about this life after the sport. Leroy?
Yeah, well, you did very well. I like that. Well, you know, to me, bodybuilding is just part of your life. I mean, it's not like when we were growing up, it was more of our life than it would be today. And people mainly want to get into shape. And what I want to get across to most of the fellas that are just starting or into it, do not get hung up on steroids thinking you're going to build overnight, because the body doesn't work that way. I think you should get into this and not look at it for anything else except to be healthy. You're not going to become a rock star, or you're not going to become famous building your body. It's just not out there. Train for your health. Whatever comes, if you want to get more involved, then get involved with it. But don't start off thinking that you're going to win a contest and all you got to do is take some juice and it'll work. Because I see that all the time. Young fellas coming in the store saying, where can I get the stuff? Where can I get some juice? And I said, are you kidding me? You don't have enough muscles to even start with the juice. And first of all, the juice will not work if you don't have some development to begin with. A lot of these fellas don't understand You cannot start juice on a body that's not trained. It will not work. And you shouldn't do the juice in any case unless you really have a body that will respond to it. So I would basically say and when a guy takes the juice, he's got the muscles that can feed and respond to the juice. So these young fellas I mainly want to get across is forget about all these drugs and things. When you train for your health, if anything else comes along that you want to do, if you feel motivated to go further. But start off not with this dream of looking like Olympia Winters, because you're just going to burn out and never get the most out of bodybuilding. You should bodybuild for your health. Get into this, build your health, build some vitality, so you can have a stump like Bill when you get 64. Bill's got this because he went step by step by step. And a lot of these young fellas today don't want to wait. They think do it overnight. You can't. And if you do it and you find that it's something to respond to, then, there's one of his women. That's one, oh boy, he can't even at his age.
When you're on TV, that shouldn't be happening.
Even at his age. But that's about all I
But
want to say.
and you're right. It's like trying to build a building without having a foundation. And I tell a lot of these guys too, and it's not that I'm jealous of them or don't want them to get there, but if steroids was the key to being a great athlete, you know how many great athletes we'd have? Millions of them.
Well, you know what, Will? They tell me, they come in, and I say, I got Barry Bonds coming in. They say, well, if he wouldn't have been to hit all those home runs, he wouldn't take steroids. I said, then why doesn't 20 Barry Bonds?
That's right.
It's all you have to do is take steroids. Steroids do not give you skills. It makes you stronger.
Exactly.
That's all it does.
Yeah.
And by being strong, it helps you, it enhances, but don't make.
Right. It gives you an extra 10%.
It makes. It doesn't make, it enhances.
It doesn't make a champion.
No, it enhances.
That's all.
It's
an enhancement.
And these young fellas, primarily,
Sometimes they don't see that.
they come in thinking that somebody will get a shortcut to bodies you worked on. You know how many years you worked to get a stump like this? And I mean, this is not your best stump.
It was years
You
before I even thought about
and
it.
you took these one now, and look at it.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, listen, and I didn't start taking that right away. I trained for years.
Right, built the
Before
foundation.
doing anything like you got. It's like, again, like trying to build that building without a foundation. It's going to crumble. And you're right, guys. Take it before they even. I lived in Sweden real quick, and we can be done. I lived in Sweden, and one guy says, "Oh, I got to start now, and I'm going to start training about 4 or 5 weeks. Take the stuff before 4 or 5 weeks before I even start training." I was like, "What are you, nuts?"
No concept. He's going to destroy himself.
Well, that's what it was.
It was never designed for that. And another thing that's very important that most people don't understand, steroids were never developed for athletes. They were developed for sick people.
Right.
Because it holds the end product of protein digestion, which is nitrogen in the muscle. Sick people were not breaking down protein to be utilized, so they developed steroids so that you can utilize your protein and build your immune system. So it holds the nitrogen in the muscle, and it's like fertilizer.
Right.
When you're training. It makes you strong as hell, but you got to have a reason for that. Either you got to be sick, or you have to be a bodybuilder that's competing. That's my take on this with my good friend.
Well,
Grant.
we love bodybuilding for real.
I don't see him often, but when I see him, it's like I just saw him yesterday.
Well, that's the whole deal about bodybuilding. You make great relationships, and I've made a lot worldwide, and I made a great relationship and with Leroy. I mean, he's a fellow New Yorker, and I loved him when I first started. When I first saw him in that magazine, we were like brothers already. And I think that's what it was back in the day, that we had that camaraderie.
Yeah,
we had that
it.
belief in each other.
Because
we loved each other as brothers. We trained together. We ate together. We did everything
Because
together.
we can relate right off.
And I think that's the great thing about bodybuilding, that the people you see worldwide, the whole 9 yards. So, you know what? We're going to get back again and do this again. And we'll have some more extensive talks about bodybuilding because it is a great sport. We want to see it go further. We just need to get it together so we can get it back mainstream. Maybe all you guys might have some ideas. Bring them to us. Let us know how we can make it all great so we can all have those big shows like the Arnold Classic, but all over the world.
And you want people also to maximize their potential.
Exactly.
And you maximize your potential by looking at this, just like you said, as a building process, not to jump over the fence right away because you're not going to do it.
Right. Well, you got to crawl before you walk. My mother always told me that. Yo, boy, you got to crawl before you can walk. What you think you're trying to walk already? You can't even crawl
Some
yet.
of them want to run before they can walk.
I know. So
You know?
my mother was like that. You know, it was strange. But we'll talk some more. We'll
To
talk
be
some
continued.
more. That's it. To be continued. Stay tuned. After a word from our sponsors.